It all began on a cold winter morning. Maria tightened her worn-out coat around her shoulders as she rushed to her second job. She was a single mom, raising her 8-year-old son, Daniel, after her husband had abandoned them years ago. Life had been cruel to her, bills piled up, rent was overdue, and sometimes she skipped her own meals just so Daniel could eat properly. Yet, despite her struggles, Maria had one thing that couldn't be broken: her kindness. That morning, as she crossed the busy street to catch a bus, her eyes caught a shocking sight. A man in an expensive suit had collapsed on the sidewalk. People passed by, some staring, some whispering, but no one stopped. Maria's heart pounded. She didn't know who he was, or what he had, but she couldn't walk away. She knelt beside him, shaking his shoulder. "Sir? Sir, can you hear me?" No response. His skin was pale, his breath shallow. She remembered watching a first aid video once at her son's school. With trembling hands, she checked his pulse and realized he was having a heart attack. Without hesitation, she dialed 911 and began CPR, whispering encouragement with each push on his chest. "Come on, don't give up. Your family needs you. Someone loves you. Please fight." Tears filled her eyes as strangers finally gathered around. By the time paramedics arrived, the man had regained faint consciousness. He was rushed into the ambulance, and Maria disappeared quietly into the crowd, heading for her shift at a diner. She didn't even tell anyone what she had done. The stranger. The man's name was Richard Lawson, a well-known CEO of one of the biggest companies in the city. A self-made millionaire, respected by many, yet feared by his employees for his cold and distant nature. He had money, power, and influence, but no family. His wealth couldn't cure his loneliness. In the hospital, as he recovered, he remembered one thing clearly: a woman's voice. Desperate, caring, sincere. Someone who had begged him not to give up. That voice, it stayed in his mind. When Richard asked the paramedics about her, they told him no one knew who she was, just a woman who had saved his life and vanished. For the first time in years, Richard felt something money couldn't buy: gratitude. Fate intervenes. 2 weeks later, Maria was serving tables at the diner. Her hair was tied back, her uniform slightly faded, and exhaustion painted her face. Yet, she still smiled politely at every customer. That evening, a tall man in a dark coat walked in. His presence was commanding, though his expression was softer than his sharp suit suggested. It was Richard. When Maria came to his table with a menu, their eyes met. He stared at her with shock, and then recognition. "It's you," Richard whispered. Maria blinked, confused. "I'm sorry, do I know you?" "You saved my life," he said firmly. "The heart attack. 2 weeks ago. You were the one who didn't give up on me." Maria froze, her tray shaking slightly. She hadn't expected this moment. To her, it was just an act of humanity. She had never thought she'd see him again. Richard's eyes softened. "I've been searching for you. Please, sit with me. Just for a moment." Two worlds collide. At first, Maria was hesitant. She wasn't used to attention, especially not from someone so powerful. But Richard was persistent. He visited the diner every day, sometimes just ordering coffee, sometimes leaving generous tips, but always waiting to talk to her. Slowly, Maria began to open up. She told him about Daniel, about working 2 jobs, about her struggles. She never asked for pity, she only shared because Richard seemed genuinely interested. And for the first time, Richard shared too. About his childhood poverty, about building his empire from nothing, about losing himself to success. He admitted something he had never told anyone: despite all his wealth, he was empty. "You saved more than my life, Maria," he said one night. "You saved my heart." challenges of the heart. But their growing bond wasn't without challenges. Maria's co-workers whispered, some jealous, some doubtful. Daniel, her son, was protective, unsure of this rich man suddenly appearing in their lives. And Maria herself doubted everything. He's a millionaire, Daniel, she whispered to her son. And I'm, well, just me. A poor, struggling single mom. People like him don't fall in love with people like us. But Richard proved otherwise. He spent time with Daniel, helping him with homework, taking him to the park, and listening to his dreams. He showed Maria that love wasn't about money, it was about respect, kindness, and support. Still, Maria's pride held her back. One evening, she confronted him. Why me, Richard? You could have anyone. Why choose someone who has nothing? Richard smiled, his eyes glistening. You have everything I never had. Warmth, compassion, and the courage to love without expecting anything in return. That's worth more than all the money in the world. The turning point. One winter night, Maria lost her job at the diner. She returned home in tears, worried about how she would pay rent. When Richard found out, he offered to help financially, but Maria refused. I don't want your money. I don't want to be a charity case. Richard took her hands gently. Then don't. Let me be part of your journey, not your savior. I don't want to buy your love, Maria. I want to earn it. Her walls began to crumble. For the first time, she believed he truly loved her, for who she was, not what she lacked. Love wins. Months passed. Their bond grew stronger. Richard introduced her to his world, not to change her, but to show her that she belonged. Maria, in return, reminded him of the simple joys of life, family dinners, laughter, and love without conditions. Daniel grew fond of Richard, seeing in him the father figure he had longed for. And Maria, once broken by life, found herself healed by a love she had never expected. One spring evening, Richard knelt in front of her, holding a small velvet box. Maria, he said, his voice trembling, you saved my life once. But now, you've given me something far greater, hope, family, love. Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that I'll never let you down? Tears streamed down her cheeks as she whispered. Yes. Final message. Maria's story reminds us all, kindness has the power to change lives. She had nothing but compassion, and it brought her everything she deserved. From a poor single mom to the heart of a millionaire, she proved that true wealth isn't measured in money, but in love, courage, and humanity. So the next time life feels unfair, remember Maria. Remember that one act of kindness can rewrite your destiny. Because miracles don't always come with warning signs. Sometimes, they come disguised as the person you least expect.